Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you ways to improve your level of English. This is the next video in my English Writing Essentials series, where I teach you all about different punctuation that you need to be able to use in English, including exclamation marks, periods, colons, semicolons. In today's video, I will teach you all about how to use question marks. So let's get started. In this lesson, you will learn how to use question marks. And this right here is a question mark. So let's talk about different types of sentences. Periods go at the end of declarative sentences. For example, I live in Spain. Period. Exclamation points or exclamation marks go at the end of exclamatory sentences. For example, Spain is beautiful. This here is an exclamation mark. And question marks go at the end of interrogative sentences, or questions. For example, where do you live? Question mark. So rule number 1 is we use a question mark after a direct question. We use question marks to end direct questions. Here's some examples. What is your name? Who is that man? Where should we go? How are you? Do you like sushi? Many different direct questions, or most direct questions, begin with these words, question word questions. Who, what, where, when, why, which, whose, and how. If you see a question begin with one of these words, we will usually have to end the sentence with a question mark. Rule number 2, use a question mark at the end of a sentence. A question mark replaces a period at the end of a sentence. For example, what is your name? This is correct. This would be incorrect. What is your name? Question mark, and then a period. We do not need this period. We can only use a question mark because this is a question. The next example, do you live here? This would be correct. Do you live here with a question mark and a period would not be correct. We have to have a question mark, only a question mark. Rule number 3. The question mark replaces a comma if a quoted question ends in mid-sentence. So if a quoted question ends in the middle of a sentence, the question mark replaces a comma. So for example, can you help me? Ted asked. Here, we put a question mark because this is a question. Can you help me? So this would be correct. This would be incorrect. Can you help me? Question mark, comma, Ted asked. This is incorrect. We do not need this comma here, and we cannot use it. This can be confusing sometimes because if we had a sentence like this, I'm tired, this is a declarative sentence, and it would end with a period. But because it's a quotation, we would replace the period with a comma. And this is okay for declarative sentences. But because this is a question, we have to replace the period, or the comma, with a question mark because it's a question. Okay? Another example. Is that Joe's cat? I wondered. This is correct because it's a question. This would be incorrect. Is that Joe's cat? Question mark, comma. This is incorrect. We only need the question mark, okay? So if we had another example, are you tired? Joe asked. Here, inside the quotation, we would put a question mark, okay? So when it's a declarative sentence, I'm tired, we replace the period with a comma in the middle of a quotation. But if it is a question, then we replace the period or the comma with a question mark inside the quotations. Okay? Rule 4. How to use question marks with quotation marks. So this is a continuation of the lesson we just learned. Rule 4a, put the question mark at the end of the quotation if it applies to the words enclosed by the quotation marks. So for example, Sierra asked, can you come to my hockey game tomorrow? Because this question mark applies to this complete question right here inside the quotation marks. This is a question. Can you come to my hockey game tomorrow? We put the question mark inside the quotation marks. But if the question mark applies to the sentence as a whole, then we place the question mark at the end of the sentence. So for example, do you agree with the saying, time is money? Here we have the question mark outside of the quotation marks because the question is this is a complete question. The question mark does not apply to time is money. We are asking if a person agrees with the saying time is money. The saying itself inside the quotation marks is not time is money. The question mark doesn't apply to what's inside the quotation marks. It applies to the complete question, okay? And rule number 5 can be tricky for a lot of different people. An indirect question ends with a period, not a question mark. So when a question is direct, you need to use a question mark at the end. A direct question will often begin with one of these words: who, what, where, when, why, how, can, or may. When a question is indirect, you need to use a period at the end to indicate this. So here's an example. A direct question: where does Bobby live? This is a question, so we have to end it with a question mark. It's a question that needs an answer. Bobby lives in New York, for example. We're asking a question: where does Bobby live? An indirect question: I wonder where Bobby lives. Note that here, we do not end this with a question mark because this is an indirect question. It's just someone stating, I wonder where Bobby lives. No one is asking, where does Bobby live? They're just stating that they wonder where he lives. Okay, so it's not a direct question, so we do not end it with a question mark. Another example of a direct question: can my boyfriend come to the wedding with me? This we have to end with a question mark because it's a question. Yes, your boyfriend can come to the wedding with you, or no. But an indirect question: she asked if she could bring her boyfriend to the wedding. So we're stating that she asked if she could bring her boyfriend to the wedding, but we're not actually answering the question, whether she can or cannot, or could not bring her boyfriend to the wedding. This is not a direct question, so we end it with a period, okay? And finally, rule number 6. We generally use a question mark at the end of a tag question. A tag question is a statement followed by a short question. Tag questions are generally used to ask if you agree with the statement. For example, Carlos speaks Spanish, doesn't he? We have to end this with a question mark because it's a question. We want someone to answer if they agree with us. Carlos speaks Spanish, doesn't he? Yes, he does. Okay? Carmen is sick, isn't she? Yes, she is. Or no, she isn't. It's a question. All of these are short questions. You aren't a teacher, are you? No, I'm not. I'm a doctor, for example. So this would be correct. Today is Thursday, isn't it? But it would be incorrect to write, today is Thursday, isn't it? No, this would be incorrect because we're asking a question. We want someone to agree with us. Yes, it is Thursday. Or no, it isn't. Okay? So remember to use question marks at the end of tag questions. Okay, so now it is time to practice what we've just learned. So which of these sentences are incorrect? I want you to write your answers in the comment section of this video or just write how many you got out of 6. You can pull out a little piece of paper and write down your answers. I'm going to read all 6 of them. Some are correct, some are incorrect, and I want you to write which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect and what we should do to correct them. So number 1, how are you? I'm okay. 2, should we go to that new restaurant tonight? 3, Javier asked, will you go to the dance with me? 4, you like cheesecake, don't you? 5, do you know my uncle? Kate asked. 6, I wonder when the exam will be. So pause this video and read through these and even go back if you want some extra help. And now I'm going to help you out and correct these with you. So number 1 is incorrect. Now, this is only incorrect because we have a space here. this is something I see all the time in my YouTube comments from subscribers, is they're always putting a space at the end of a sentence, then putting a punctuation mark, and then another space. We don't need to do that. We remove the space, okay? It should be, how are you? Question mark right beside the you, okay? But the usage of the question mark is correct. Number 2 is correct. Should we go to that new restaurant tonight? It's a question. It's a direct question. It's correct. Number 3 is incorrect. And it's incorrect because we do not need, and we cannot use this period here at the end. This is a question, will you go to the dance with me? And because it ends with a question mark, we do not need a period. We just end it like that with the quotations after the question mark. The next one, you like cheesecake, don't you? This is a tag question, so we end it with a question mark. You like cheesecake, don't you? We're asking for the person to say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. Do you know my uncle? Kate asked. This is correct. We're using a question mark in the middle of the sentence here because we're asking a question, do you know my uncle? So we're not going to use a comma or any other punctuation mark because this is a question in the middle of the sentence. And finally, I wonder when the exam will be. This is incorrect, and people make this mistake all the time, even native English speakers. We end this with a period because it is an indirect question. If this was, or when is the exam, and then a question mark, that would be correct because that's a direct question. When is the exam? But this is, I wonder when the exam will be. It's an indirect question. I'm not actually asking when is the exam. I'm wondering when it will be. Okay, so 2 of these were correct out of 6, and 4 of them we had to correct. So let me know how many you got right in the comment section of this video. So thank you guys once again for watching this video. If you liked it, please click like. Make sure to subscribe to Sparkle English for more videos on how to improve your level of English. And stay tuned for more videos in my English Writing Essentials series, where I will be teaching you how to use hyphens, dashes, and more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next lesson.